I believe in the future human beings and computers will split duties according to what they're good at. Seems kind of obvious. So I've always believed that this is true for us as individuals, but I've now concluded that it's going to be true for governments too. So when it comes to rule of law, for example, humans will provide the military and the police and the technology that will keep them honest, which is a problem in a lot of the world. Education can be provided by a computer. Why build everything from scratch when it exists online? So use that as your base. For people who don't have schoolhouses at all, start with the internet. Now, humans will still be needed to treat those in poor health, but with new technology, all these monitoring systems and so forth, which is exploding, technology will tell us what's wrong and offer the diagnosis. So again, that's the split. So since I've always talked about how humans and computers will split duties in an individual now, I also realize this is at the state level, that there'll be huge pressure on technicians to implement, for example, internet controls with concomitant issues. Internet commerce will change the labor market, pricing commodities and buying things online as a substitute for human labor. A consequence of this is that the worry about automation eliminating low-skilled jobs applies to everyone, even in the poorest of nations, which is an interesting conclusion. That everybody is affected by this automation issue. And all of us will have to deal with it. And by the way, the answer is education. And the answer is education, and the answer is education, and the answer is education. You come to no other conclusion. Now, in failed states, technology allows citizens to take over the role of government. So, for example, in Libya, schoolgirls used mobile apps and maps to map out their safe routes to their schools so they could avoid the NATO bombing. When we were in Rwanda, we thought a lot about what it would be like during this horrific genocide if everybody had had access to mobile computing. You'd know where the evil stuff was happening. You'd have safe routes to save your family and get out rather than being killed in the churches. It's an extraordinary possibility. Think about the number of lives that were lost there. So in this sort of model that I'm promoting, there's a natural line of duties where the duties split between governments. And when governments reach across that line, so for example, when governments reach into people's personal lives, the citizens revolt. The natural line, I would argue, and we can debate this, is where humans enforce security, feed people, vaccinate kids, but computers, for example, provide entertainment, make commerce happen, and that kind of stuff. So I argue that this new social contract, sort of the man-machine contract, for lack of a better term, is to stay as close to this natural split as possible. And all of us are finding where that is. So when citizens when citizens or the government, by the way, goes over the line, the other side fights back hard. Think of it as a digital demilitarized zone. So the best way to understand this argument is think about Mexico. This is in a normal place, certainly here in Britain, which is extraordinarily well-run, very principled, very good police, very well-run courts, and so forth. In a normal society, a normal place, you just report a crime. The system works, the criminal is captured, the victim is taken care of. Now, in Mexico, the natural split is compromised because of the drug corruption of the police, and fear prevails. And the absolute worst thing to do if you're a victim of a crime is to report it to the police. Literally the worst. So what's a technological solution? Well, you could have an anonymous crime reporting system where the reporter is fully anonymous. And we now know how to build systems which have both anonymous reporters as well as anonymous responders. So we can document this stuff and then use it to both show the difficulty and then ultimately catch the real perpetrator. So crime reporting in Mexico is a tug of war between compromised humans and compromised technology. Now, in this particular battle, which I think is one of the best examples, who will win? Will it ultimately be the humans that will ultimately impose their rules on all of this, which in Mexico are a very severe problem because of the drug issues, or is it going to be technology? I would argue it's going to be technology, because eventually anonymity can be guaranteed by unbreakable encryption, and there's enough altruistic humans who care about this problem to build such systems. So I think that illustrates, where the line is and how societies will adapt to this new empowerment model, where trust is important and problems have to get solved.